Alright, hello everyone. Today in this video, it's going to be quite a different format. Comment below if you like it or not. But I'll just be talking. So what are we talking about? We're going to be talking about PvP. And why are we talking about PvP? So my account actually got suspended a few days ago for being toxic, apparently. And it's probably related to PvP. So let's talk about it. I'm definitely salty, kind of coping. But that's okay because we are here to complain. Because this game it's actually not worth complaining about, but we're gonna do it anyways. So, PvP. Um, we will start with things I think are broken in PvP. And, this is gonna be a pretty opinionated video. So if you don't respect my opinion, then you don't have to watch it. I don't even know why you're here then, but that's what it's gonna be about. So things that are broken, and then my toxic PvP story. It's the second thing we'll talk about. And finally, it'll be about this pretty big consumable exploits that's been going around in arenas lately. So actually, we should start with my background in PvP. I don't really consider myself a PvPer, so like few people do, but I'm not one of them. I really just do PvE. I think PvE is more fun. We like go around and like do some feeds, do some raids. PvPing, it is fun, and I like dabbled in it, you could say. I've met some pretty good PvPers, played against them, so I think I have a pretty good idea of what it's like, especially in arenas. I don't really do dueling or open world. That's kind of different. Some of the issues are still there, but definitely more nuanced. Not nuanced, different in arenas. And there's like more mechanics and because of the clamp issue and artifacts and stuff. So this is going to be from an arena perspective. And yeah, I don't consider myself the best PvPer. I'm pretty washed, to be honest. But I think I know enough where you don't have to discount everything I say. So let's get into it. First topic, things I think are broken in PvP. And just remember, this is from an arena perspective. The first thing that's broken is kind of obvious. It's just some powers are broken. What are those powers? The one that probably is going to come up the most is mental. And I would say there's actually three reasons mental is broken and not like broken, I guess, but like overperforming. First is the most obvious one, I guess, which is stealth. So you go into stealth, you hit like sleep, and then you hit pain blast, and that's literally like 2,000 damage at least, and it takes like a second, maybe two. So, and you can like put up a shield and then go into stealth and then pop that combo. So it's kind of hard to counterplay that. So first part. Second part of mental that I would say is broken is it has a lot of shields. There's like four shields, and you just like press them. So the telekinetic shield, grandeur, reflect pain, and hard light shield. There might be another one I'm missing. But telekinetic shield, or all of these are like actual shields, so you can like clip power into the shield. So like getting the shield and the power, and they're pretty low cooldown. Reflect plane especially is broken because it's like as strong as a normal shield and it reflects the same amount of damage. So it's like a 2,500 HP swing, and that reflected damage goes through other people's shields, so you can like kill yourself on it, even if you have a shield up. So that's mental. It's just like a lot of free damage. Oh, and the last thing about it that's broken is it has a pseudo like permastun on psychic shock. So you may have this is like kind of a minor issue. It's like really annoying. You play against a mental user and they keep pressing psychic shock or even like pyrokinesis, but mostly psychic shock on you. You'll notice that your loadout's like grayed out as though you're stunned, but you can't like break out of it for some reason. Like you're kind of just stuck there in psychic shock. And I think it's because psychic shock hits you four times, and each tick of it, each of those four ticks is gonna like micro stun you for like zero point 0.1 seconds. So you're just getting a micro stun over and over. So you're not actually stunned because it's just a micro stun, but it just keeps interrupting you at those like very small intervals. Something like that. But it's really annoying because it acts like a hard stun. You just get like stunned every time they press psychic shock, unless you get breakout immunity somehow. So it's really annoying. That's mental, which is probably the biggest abuser. You could say something pretty similarly for gadgets. Gadgets has stealth as well, and then if you're in any node map, you're just gonna drop mines in the node, which is like extremely annoying to fight against. Like, you kind of need Amazonian deflection in that case, or else you just die, or like you pop it with like martial arts range or something. So same thing, it's just like the stealth does like 3,000 damage, and it's like kind of just free damage that you're just gonna take to the face. It's just like free damage. The other one's probably an outlier is Raid, actually. So Raid, there's two reasons. The first is the healing, especially in DPS stance. If you ever fought against like a Rage DPS, you'll notice they heal like probably 3 or 4 times as much as you if you're not like if you're non-healing power, and that's just like a lot of healing. So you just have to do a lot more damage to wear them down. And I guess there's two other things. The first one is revenge spam. So similar issue with mental. It's like a perma stun almost, or it's like a pseudo hard stun because it's very hard to break out of. Revenge is a pushback. It doesn't actually knock you down. So you just get pushed back a lot, and it just keeps interrupting you, and you can't like block, or you can block, but you can barely block, but you can't like start any combos or anything. So it's very annoying. And it's spammable. It's like 100 power cost, I think. And you just like keep pressing it. The last part about Rage that's kind of broken is E-Chain. The second part of E-Chain is supposed to be blockable or vulnerable to block. If you've ever tried to actually block it, you will know that it's very hard to actually counter that. You have to like hold block for like the entire 2 seconds of the animation, and you may be able to counter it. The issue with that is it does like 1,500 damage or something, the whole thing. So you're gonna take a big chunk of damage, and if you're gonna try to block it, it might not work, and it's just gonna block break you after. Good thing is most rage DPSs are kind of dumb, and they're just gonna like spam. So that's how you get counters on them. So that's rage, and like the pseudo hard stun thing. That's a couple powers have that. So munitions has pushback, so you might like accidentally block. It's like the same idea with like if someone is dual pistols full autoing you, you like accidentally block and you get block broken, kind of like that. Hard light with the lightweight, they're gonna spam that on you, and you're not gonna be able to break out of it because you're just getting like juggled permanently. And also electric, if you've ever fought against someone with elect, they press Tesla ball, and it's gonna like micro stun you every second for like 6 seconds, and it's really annoying. You need to break out immunity to fight it, or else like you're just gonna take too much free damage. That's like some of the powers that are broken, and I think overall, the complaint about powers is just there's just too much might damage, which is just free damage. Press a power, you do damage to the enemy, and it's just free damage. There's just too much of it. Maybe not too much, but there's just like a lot of damage, and it's like there's like no counterplay for you. You're just gonna take the damage to the face, so it's like annoying. But that's the first thing. It's kind of broken, a bit long. Second one, a bit shorter explanation, is just the clamp in PvP arenas. The issue with the clamp, I think, maybe not an issue, or with like clamping in general, is even though your stats are clamped, as PvE progresses and you get more SP augments and your generator mods, the clamp stats will still get higher and higher. So, for example, if you looked at, let's say, your precision stat, or we should say might stat. Let's say you look at your might stat now in arenas with like a full might spec, and it's like some number, maybe like 5,500-ish. If you looked at that same might stat or stat with the same spec as you have now, but like maybe a year ago, you'll see that it would be lower. And that's because the SP cap would have been lower, your generator mods would have been weaker, and your body and head augments would have been lower as well. So all of those, even though they're clamped, they still factor into it. So as time goes on, and this clamp stays up, so your PvP, like, you're still clamped at like, CR 30 in PvP-ish, these stats will get higher and higher. So you just get like kind of crazy stat imbalances in PvP. Your DPSs, that kind of means they just do a lot more damage, but they don't get any tankier. And then for like other roles, like we can talk about the other roles later, but there's also issues with that. I'm not sure that's an actual issue that we should be worried about, but I think it could be an issue, or they could probably address that. Now, the last thing that we can talk about with respect to arenas specifically is the role buffs. What do the role buffs do? If you go into arenas PvP in a full DPS spec, and you're in DPS role, and then you press up on the D-pad, or Y on PC, then you're gonna switch roles to your support role, right? Tank, healer role. And when this happens, you're going to keep all of those DPS stats you have from your spec, and then you're going to gain a bunch of free stats relating to that role. For example, if you switch to a tank role, you're going to keep all of your DPS stats, which could be like probably your might, that's the main thing, and then your crit chances. And then because you switch to a tank, you're going to get a health buff and then a dominance buff because you're a tank in arenas and you're not tank spec. So, um, you just get a lot of free that just from being in your support role in arenas. And this actually doesn't work the other way with damage. If you are in a support spec and then you switch to a damage role in arenas, you don't get like relatively as much damage stats. Right? So really, I would say arenas are very skewed towards support roles being pretty strong because of that. So the probably the most common way you'll see this is you'll see like mental. I'm going to complain about mental a lot. Mental players or gadgets players, they're gonna do their DPS spec, they're gonna go into arenas and then just gonna be in controller role. So they put the controller debuffs on you and then they have like a hell of a lot more dominance, so their shields are a lot stronger and they can just like more freely go into stealth because of their shields and stuff. And then they just like hit buttons on you. And they get like infinite power because they're controller, so they just keep jamming. That's one thing you'll see it. So tanks can do it too. You could like go in as a tank, and just get like the free like tankiness, but like you're still doing comparable damage. And then for healers as well, what the healer thing would really do is make your shield stronger, I think, and you could put like on some healing moves and they might do a little bit, but yeah, it's just like really annoying. I also think roles are just like imbalanced in general. Like if you've ever met an actual healer in PvP, they're like extremely hard to kill 1v1 unless you put a heal debuff on them. Like you could just try go full heal spec, put on rifle, and just keep like tapping melee, like occasionally healing yourself, and it's gonna be pretty hard to kill you. But yeah, that's kind of annoying to play again. So yeah, roles thing. That's just for arena, like specifically these things, and there's just like more stuff that's like exploitable or glitchy with PvP in general. So you could go into Legends PvP, and there's just still gonna be like certain characters that are imbalanced. Probably the most obvious one right now is Donna Troy, because she just like heals a lot. So how you play Dota Troy is you press the stick's ability that heals you. Sometimes you press your shield, but then you just like keep tapping melee, and that's like all you have to do, and you'll win. Like most of the time. Two-Faced still an issue. Bane, if he gets his supercharge off, also an issue. Black Adam, Shazam, stuff like that. And then there's like actual glitches, like the backflip glitch is still there for his Legends characters. That's the main one you'll see. And there's like just glitches involving the broken PvP mechanic. So I think the most obvious one is just like lunging right out of your block. You will dodge like the opponent's block breakers, and then it's just like really hard for you to get block broken like that. And I guess like overall, like just with the core PvP rock paper scissors mechanics itself, is how you're just disincentivized from going for those like kind of risky plays and potentially high rewards in favor of like doing some other things that have like low risk but still pretty high rewards. I think that's like the main gripe with mechanics are broken, right? So we talked about powers. If you're gonna spam powers, it's very low risk. The reward is pretty good. You're still doing damage to them, right? And the clamp, that's a separate issue. And then broken mechanics we're talking about, like if you're doing the lunge thing, right out of block, like you can just block, and then now blocking is very low risk because you can just lunge out of it, and it's really hard to get block broken. If you're up against a good player, they're probably not gonna like block in response to your block, so you're not gonna get countered that way. So it's like kind of like a free block for you. or even rolling. I think rolling is kind of ass, or like cancer to play against because it also like I would say heavily disincentivizes block breaking or like you just need a much higher skill cap in order to overcome rolling. An issue with that is because normally when you catch block breaks on people's blocks, like there's like half a second delay where it's like a late block break. You can still get the block break even if they let go of block. If you roll, it gets rid of that delay for one thing. And the thing with rolling is the roll window, counter window is very short. It's like a second, I think. Um, maybe like 1.5 seconds at most. Whereas the block break counter window is like 2 seconds. So if someone rolls your block break, they're pretty much always guaranteed to be able to lunge you, right? And then catch a counter on you. So block breaking is pretty hard to get. And the thing with lunges is the lunge damage itself is going to be higher, whereas like your block break damage isn't. So like block breaking just doesn't do a lot of damage by itself, let's say. Of course, the counterplay to rolling, if you're trying to block break, is you block break and then you jump clip and then you lunge right after. But I think this is problematic because you have to you have to lunge, and when you lunge, you're losing like time doing the lunge instead of like doing your like punishing combo. Them as they're countered, and it's just a lot harder to do. Like you can compare someone just rolling, you kind of just tap on the stick or like a movement command versus someone who has to block break and then jump and then lunge. It's a lot more input. So rolling, you could say it's a counter to getting block broken, but it's also like kind of a low effort counter and it's like much lower risk than going for the block break. Whereas on the other hand, block breaking just isn't very rewarding on its own. And I could talk about other stuff like mechanics are just like really glitchy. So like you kind of just want to play out the glitches instead of actually going for counters and playing mind games. You're just like glitching them, and then it's kind of a mess. All right, toxic story time. So here's my toxic story. I actually probably have a lot of these. This was the most recent one, and I think the most egregious case I had concerning why I may have been suspended for toxicity. So, this happened a couple days ago. This was a Legends match. I was playing Batman. I was on like my unknown tune. Oh, some people know me on that tune. But I was playing Batman Legends, PvP 1v1 Batcave, versus a Catwoman. So, the Catwoman, I've never seen this person around. I don't recognize the name, but I did recognize the league. I'm not going to say what league it is, but it may have started with the 13th letter of the alphabet. I think it's 13th. Anyways, so we got into the match, and I'm pretty rusty. Like, I think I've said this before, but I'm like pretty washed at PvP, so it was pretty bad. At some point, the score was 1-4. This is when it happened. I had one kill, he had four, and I was on the node. Or the thing about the node was the score line, though, like the actual score was about even. It's like 600 something to 600 something, so it's pretty close. Maybe 600 to 700, but a lot closer than it should have for the score being like 1-4. So the next time we're fighting, what happens is I actually get a counter when the timer is at 7:31. Now, if you don't know why the timer thing is important, it's because of how spawns work in PvP, and is the reason why the score gets lopsided. How spawns work is at every 15 seconds, all players who are knocked out will have the opportunity to spawn. And this happens when the timer is at either 14, 29, 44, or 59. So if you die before this time, then you will spawn on that time, and if you die after that, you have to wait for the next one. And what happened in this case? Well, he got counted at 7:31. Next spawn timer is in 2 seconds. If he doesn't die in 2 seconds, he's gonna eat like 15 seconds spawn. And that's why the node gets lopsided. Every time he killed me, like I had like a 1 or 2 second spawn. I had to wait 1 or 2 seconds, and I could get right back up and go contest the node. So if the other person spawns too fast, like then you have to forfeit the node and go heal up, and they can just cap the node while you're gone. And that's how I kept the score so close. So it's kind of RNG if you're not paying attention to it, but if you're smart about it, then you can actually time people. You can wait until right after that 15-second spawn timer and then kill them, and then they have to wait 10 seconds. And apparently he thought I was doing that to him. He got countered at 7:31, and I had like 2 seconds to kill him that fast. Well, the thing is, I'm Batman, and I didn't have stealth, so I did an elbow drop combo, and I pressed battering, the second ability, and I barely killed him. The thing is, I kind of pressed battering like out of habits because I think it does the most damage, so you kind of like want to just keep pressing it, and it's like good CC and stuff. But so I just pressed it after my elbow drop, and I'm like, oh shoot, it's 7:31. I think I might have killed. It's taking too long to kill him. But he also barely died from the battering, and like I said, it does slightly more damage than your other abilities, right? Like all three takes of the battering went off, and they hit for nearly full damage. So if I use another ability, I don't think it would have killed him anyways. And like just to be safe, like it's just muscle memory. I'm gonna press battering. So that's what happened. I took too long to kill him, maybe like 3 or 4 seconds, and he just got mad because he thought I was timing him on purpose. And after that, over the rest of the match, he said some shit to me. He's just typing shit, and he started breaking my gear and going for health barrels. So this is not toxic because there's not chat logs for breaking gear and health barrels, but if you ever played PvP and you kind of like want to have a good match, a fun and enjoyable time, then you would know that is really bad etiquette and it's bad manners. Breaking gear, if you don't know, it's like you hold circle after you knock someone else out and it looks like you're tying them up, they fall down, it takes long for them to like respawn. And then the health barrels are just completely unbalanced. It makes like the fight really boring because as the health barrel is up, your health literally can't go down because it just heals that much. So he just did that for the rest of the fight, and I got heated. I'm like, bro, what the? So I was just like typing shit to this guy back because he's typing shit to me. He's gonna like DM me, like I'm gonna, defend myself. So that escalated, and we were in tells, like just typing shit to each other for a long time afterwards. I'm like defending myself. I'm saying, dude, you got countered at 7:31, like 2 seconds before the next spawn wave. I have stealth, and you have like 1,500 health. How am I gonna kill you? And yeah, I don't know. Like, he probably didn't buy it. He's just like coping. At some point, told me to go back to EU, and I think it's pretty obvious I'm not from the EU. Like, if you know me at all. So I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like telling me to like go suck off someone's dick in the EU. Like, I think I'm figuratively sucking off. And yeah, it was just like kind of weird. Like, I'm not from the EU. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, so this whole time. So after that, we're like, dude, this guy is just delusional. For one thing, he's 1 to 4. He's up and kills. He's probably gonna win the match because I'm just bad. I got like a kind of lucky counter on him, and that's how I got it. I'm pretty lucky with the spawns too. And he gets frustrated from that. Okay, and then he's just like so delusional that he thinks I'm timing him that he starts breaking gear and stuff. And then he's even more delusional that he says I'm from the EU. I don't even know like where he got that idea from. Like I didn't even say anything or type anything before then. Like he just says I'm from the EU for some reason. Like this was in the middle of the day, dude. It's like I'm not a DJ, dude. I am not up at like 4 a.m. in the EU playing on the US server. No, the US servers in the afternoon. That's not what happens. I don't know, dude. So that was just weird. Like he's just delusional, and I think that's part of the reason this community sucks ass. I've had like similar runs-ins with like other members of his league, which is why this like really pissed me off. So let's talk about more about his league. It starts with the 13th letter of the alphabet. So, kind of when I first started PvP, this was so long ago, like over a year ago, I would say. When I first started PvPing is when I met his league. And first couple people I met there, they were pretty cool. Like I'd always lose to them, but they wouldn't like really type or complain. It's like chill. And then they're pretty nice. At some point, they're like, "Hey, you managed to finally get a kill. Nice, dude." Because it'd be O10 every time I pushed against them. So they were pretty cool, and that's why like I kind of respected their league. And yeah, then what happened was there's like this series where like those people they kind of stopped playing, and I started meeting other people in their league. And they were like, I don't even know if like these are the same people or not because they change names all the time, and I don't keep track. I don't care enough. But there were like 3 people from their league. I remember like these 3 people I met, and they were all like, you know what? They're like, I was kind of chilling with the league. Like we're like kind of fighting. It's like pretty even. We're just doing PvP, and we have good etiquette for a while. And when they're about to lose or when they just start getting beat up, they just start doing the toxic and bad etiquette shit that I was talking about. So this happened like 3 times. They break gear and they go for health barrels. This is like the two main signs of bad etiquette. So I'm like, dude, what the heck? And they like spam rules and like the other glitchy mechanic. Like that stuff kind of annoys me. Like if you want to be a good PvPer nowadays, like you kind of have to, but I personally don't play like that because I don't like it. And I think it's just dumb. Like do glitchy stuff like that all the time. But like they start doing that, and then like they do lunge spamming, lunge to dodge block breaks, like rolling a lot, canceling your roll with the block. Yeah, like a bunch of stuff like that, breaking gear, getting health barrels, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, their league is just toxic like that. Like, it's just toxic PvP etiquette. And I had runs in like that with like 3 different members in their league, and their league is not very big, so 3 members is quite a lot. Why I don't really respect them anymore because of shit like that. But yeah, so that's my story about the toxic PvP community. This man says, I just came back to the game. I'm here to get my PvP feats. So then I ask him, why are you being toxic? Why are you ready for barrels? Why do you think I'm timing you when the score is literally like 2-4 and you're gonna win anyways? You just lost once because of like a mistake and you're just gonna take out all of your frustration on me. I'm like basically a random. So I think it's just ridiculous, and I would say overall the PvP community is just like extremely toxic and full of shit and shitty people like that. They, well, the term is big ego, small dick. I actually don't know what their dick sizes are, but you know that's just like sort of insult you say to people. I think the ego part is like pretty accurate though. And yeah, that's why I think PvP is kind of ass. Like the mechanics are broken, and we talked about those. But also the community is pretty toxic and they're just gonna be toxic assholes like, often. And you know, when like kind of go into the watchtower, if you've been in the watchtower, you just go stand there, look at shout chat for a while or say chat, and people are like kind of being monkeys at each other and like calling each other names, etc., etc. Like it's kind of just a mess. And I think the big ego thing is like especially prominent in PvP. You'll like kind of see these leagues, they say like they're really good. You like look at them, they have like 140 yards, they're all mental, they have the improved stealth mod, etc. Like, yeah, I just don't think they're very good. That's just my opinion though. Like, maybe in some other standard, like they're actually decent people and they're like players, but I don't really think so. But they just think they're good. And then like these people in that Catwoman, like he's pretty good. Like I'm gonna Rusty and he's playing Catwoman. He's like kind of glitchy, but like I could see like it's like legit. But it's like, man, this guy's annoying to fight. He's getting the best of me. I was losing. Admittedly, I was losing. You know, I failed washed, but I'm just coping. Like I'm kind of just bad. And this guy was up on me. Like I would definitely admit that. And if he's gonna ask me to scream, I'd say nope. I'm gonna duck because well, I don't like screaming, and it's a waste of my time. I'm probably gonna lose anyways. And still, this guy is, like try to like rub his dick juice all over me and like want to fuck my ass. That's why he's like breaking my gear and running for barrels. Like I think that's totally unnecessary. If your ego is so fragile that you need to do that, then go ahead. But just so you know, that's one of the reasons why PvP is shit because of this community. Because of like they're just toxic. They have big egos. They kind of want to admit when they're wrong. When they lose, they just say like, "Yo, you suck, man." And you're like a glitcher. You're speed hacking. I can call it speed hacker a lot because I'm on PC. I'm not a speed hacker, guys. By the way, but yeah, it's like there's so much shit, and like keep saying toxic because that's what it is, dude. The PvP community is just ass because of that. And this dude was also ass. But on the other hand, it might not have been him who like got me suspended because well, it's about the next thing I'll say, which is the consumable exploits. If you use the consumable exploits in arenas, I'm gonna call you dog shits. I'm literally going to type in chat dog shit or something. Like, and you can say that's toxic, but I don't like exploiting. I think it's just dumb. PvP should be like a skill-based game mode, and instead it's whoever exploits the hardest, dude. I think that's dumb, and I'm gonna call you dog shit because apparently you suck too much at PvP to actually win, and you have to exploit to do it. So you can say it's toxic, and I'm not gonna disagree with you on that, but I also think it's a bit justified, at least a little bit justified. That's just how it is. So I'm not gonna apologize because you people exploiting. We'll talk about the exploit later. You can do it too, and I would advise you don't, but it is a huge exploit. Like it's kind of dumb. And I guess the other part about the community is it's just not really big. So the only people I really talk to in the PvP community is this guy called Souls. His league is 4 masters. I talked to like one other person in his league. They're all pretty cool. They're chill and they're like straight players. They don't really do the buggy stuff or the exploiting. Well, their playstyles are kind of whack, but that's just how PvP is now. If the devs ever fix that, then whatever. But overall, it's like I think the fights are pretty fair. And when you talk about are you good at PvP? Do you have PvP skill? Like when I do scrims with them, that's kind of like I think a good measure of that. But I don't really scrim anymore because fuck PvP. So I'd say if you want to get involved in PvP or want to start, the first thing to do is you just queue up a lot and get a taste for it. And if you queue up as DPS, don't queue up as another role. We talked about that, and you will see or you may be able to experience one of the things I talked about here and why PvP is ass. I hear a lot of people say PvP is ass. They give some reasons. I don't really agree with them. I don't think they're hitting the main points. And I hope like when I like put out this video, like you kind of get an idea of what specifically is ass and like why it's like so frustrating to play PvP right now. Okay. And the other thing I'll say is I'll give a shout out to this guy called Android 12 and he's putting together like a PvP tournament. I think it's ongoing. And I kind of just been ignoring him because I don't have time for it. But because I'm making this video right now anyways, I'll give a shout out to him. Link below in the description somewhere. And if you're like interested in PvP or want to do tournaments, then hit him up. Like I checked out the rule set. It's actually like kind of balanced, like as much as it can be, I suppose, for PvP. So yeah, it could be cool. Yeah, go and check that out. Lastly, let's talk about the actual exploit. So I think a lot of people are gonna call me a snitch or get pissed because I'm just gonna like expose it, but suck my dick, man. So the exploit is basically the exploit allows you to use PvE consumables in PvP. Why this is an issue? Those consumables do like 5,000 damage in arenas, and in arenas you have like 12,000 HP. So you take 3 of those consumables, you're gonna die, and it takes like less than 15 seconds. And it has like very little counterplay. It just turns into who can use the exploit or who can pop the most consumables. So it's been going around for a while. Like I said, like no one wants to be called a snitch, I guess, and the devs won't do anything about it anyways, but it is something. So so I can show everyone how to do it. So when we're in here, I'm gonna show you the amount of damage it does, and also like I'll just drop the supply drop as well. But here's my stats. I'm all 101. I have random artifacts, they don't matter. I have 10,000 health, basically. And I only have 100 SP in health. Like I have all the weapon specs, so I have like useless skill points, but only 100 in health. If you have more, maybe you have a bit more, but you have about 10,000. So, I'm gonna wait for him to walk out, and then I'm gonna press this button on him, and then you can see what's up. So, there's 159 out of 99 on my shock inducers, and I'm inside the arena. I can just press it once, and it says 158 out of 999. So it shows that I am using it, you know. So yeah, I use shock inducers because you can hit this from range. But as you can see, like I just press it, and it did like 4,000 damage to this guy, right? And then I wait for the cooldown, and there's like no cooldown, and it does like a million damage. Okay, so that's just like the normal damage. It does like 4,000. If they're blocking, you can reduce the damage, but it's still like a damage. And you know, we got the other stuff on bar, so you can drop the supply drop if you have your orbital strikes or like a turret, probably, or like henchmen, you can summon those as well. But that's the bug, so you can just do this and then boom, you're using these consumables. And the issue with the consumables is they're PvE scaling consumables, so they just do like a shit ton of damage. So this is the dude's souls. He's pretty cool. You can go annoy him. Pretty chill about it. Alright, so let's get on to the actual glitch. If you recall what the glitch is you can use trinkets and consumables in arenas matches. This is how you're going to be set up for it. I actually recorded this, like, this is the second time, but I had my chat cover up, so you couldn't see the utility belt and stuff. But the important thing is this trinket setup. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but this is like how I would do it. I think this is the most useful if you were to use this, which you shouldn't. So this is what you have. First, you need the utility belt. Then you don't need anything like you don't need these two technically. What you want is the consumable here, and then you want the B supply drop. Actually, no, you don't need. You could use any trinket like a like uplink device, your orbital, or like a henchman. So why use the command that thing is because you need to use a form change to activate this. So a form change, man bats are the easiest ones to get. I literally go on the broker and then like I type in for man bat. It's like 600k, dude. You can just buy this. It's not very expensive, or you run Zui or something. So you need a form change. You could either use these man bats. You can also use expendable disguises. I'm just gonna head to the R&D station now. Nice prep, dude. So this expendable disguise, there's different types. I just have the Amazon one here to show you guys. And the consumables. So there's this one, the shock inducer, and you want the ones for the latest episode as possible. So shock inducer, even chronos will work. Um, explosive detonators, that's the most common one. You could use a dampening field as well if you want the shield, but I don't think it's like that good. Or like anything, you know, napalm atomizer, holy light veil, like whatever, whatever. How does this work? What happens is, if you are in a form, or I should say, if you undergo a form change, and your utility belt is unequipped, it will glitch your trinket slots. So, I'm in the form, I'm going to take off my utility belt, and then I'm going to undergo a form change. Now, you might be wondering, how do you do that? Well, for most powers, so if you're gadgets, you can just stealth and unstealth right now, and that counts as a form change. If you're doing what I'm doing with the man bats, you can't actually use this because you don't have a utility belt, so you can't use it. But if you zone somewhere, like just teleport back to the House of Legends, this counts as zoning, you get taken out of your form. As you can see, I'm out of my form, not a bat anymore. And notice my trinket slots on my loadouts looks a bit funny, right? It's glitched now. So how to activate this? You don't need this anymore. And I kind of want to use my PvP trinkets, so I could take that off and just put it back on. So boom, I have my actual trinket. If I get knocked down or countered, I can use that to break out. But I also have these two still. So let me go to the sparring targets and show you what's going on. You'll see my stack on shock inducers, 154 out of 999. I just press the button to use it. 153 out of 999. So even though I don't have a utility belt on, I can still use this thing that's in my like utility belt slot. And you just saw I did damage, like boom, shock inducer, 44,000 damage. And you know it's pretty short cooldown, like boom, I just pressed it again, 46,000 damage. And it went down 152 out of 999 now. Right? So it just does damage. And the thing is, in arenas, these shock inducers, they're PvE consumables, and you know it says 373 on it. There's a CR. And you know, in PvP, you just don't have that much health to cope with it, so it just does like a ton of damage. And you could, you know, I said you could put the other stuff on here, like you have to play around with it to see like what you want on your bar, but like I have my supply drop here, so you know, it's not like all my utility belt slots because I don't have a utility belt on, but I'm still able to use it. So it actually still has a cooldown, like I can't actually press it again, but it's here, right? So yeah, if you go into an arena, or I should say like glitch is like all set up. So once you do this, like until you like really like armory swap or like start putting stuff into these like random slots, then you're good to go. You can just queue like as many arena matches as you want. You load in, and you'll be able to still use these explosive detonators. I'm just spamming them. And they're super cheap to make. You could probably go on the broker and buy them as well. Let's see if I can find explosive detonators. Look, a stack of explosive detonators. I don't know why they're 12 mil. Actually, it's probably because of that. Boom, 12 mil. Like a full stack, 20 mil. Like you could just make them yourself though. Like they're not very hard to make. So it's really easy to get these. It's really easy to use this bug. I just showed you. All you need is the man bat and utility belt, and you just load up into an arenas match, and you just smack them for a ton of damage. Pretty disgusting. So that's the glitch. Like you just be doing a lot of free damage in arenas. That's pretty much how it works. And that's how you do the exploit. So you can kind of see it's pretty simple. Literally everyone can do it. So everyone can get wins in PvP now. Nah, I mean like it just makes arenas pretty unfun. Like takes away the skill issue in PvP. Like people want to play PvP because it's like a skill based. We want to see who's better, who's worse. But in the end, it doesn't turn into that with all like the imbalance and like I don't think glitching is really skillful or like glitchy stuff, but kind of, I guess. So I won't say anything on that. But like this exploit in particular is definitely not skillful. Kind of removes a lot of like counterplay and like having fun in PvP. It's really game breaking, I would say. Now, I also say you could use this in PvE as well in a slightly different form, but with the same like idea, and it will break PvE. So I won't tell you exactly how to do it because it's PvE and the devs actually care. Maybe I should so that devs will fix it, but fuck devs. But you can use it. So I don't want to see anyone else using it. But if you do use it, like it's actually broken. It's just like OP OP. So yes, it can impact PvE, which is, the game mode that matters. All right. So, I guess that's getting near the end of the video. This is getting kind of long. So what we're talking about, I don't think anyone's gonna watch the whole thing, but thanks if you do. So, what do we talk about today? The specific things that were broken in PvP. There's like the powers, clamps, rollless buffs in arenas, and just like exploits, glitchy mechanics that the devs probably won't fix because they're actually pretty hard to fix, but if they fix it, it'd be nice. Talked about those, we talked about my toxic PvP story. This community is ass, and they will never admit it, but it's pretty ass, and people are toxic in PvP. Surprise. Last thing, consumable exploit. Maybe the devs will actually fix this because it's pretty game breaking, but who knows? It'd be nice if they did try to fix it, or even look at PvP and all the feats that are in there instead of trying to nerf EOG and like other stuff that no one asked for, like JLD Spotlight, etc. Yeah, that'd be nice. So, yeah, I hope that, well, maybe you learned something about PvP. Don't post this on the forums because fuck the devs. I don't trust the forum people either. And yeah, you could share it with like other people though. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I like reading comments. It's pretty interesting. And I guess as an aside, can talk about like, I guess this is a channel updates. I don't really think of myself as a tuber, but posting videos is pretty fun. So if there's any sort of specific content you'd like to see or videos, then comment those ideas as well, or like DM me or something. I think you have my characters in game, so you can just like send it out to them. What I want to do, there's an electric DPS guide I want to put out, maybe a battle healer guide, and when 2x art XP ever drops, then I'll do a buff troll guide because there's not one of those out. So that's what I'm thinking. You could do guides for other stuff. Usually run like old content, so like raid guides maybe or whatever. Yeah, just let me know what you think in the comments, whether it's about the video, about PvP, whether you think I'm bullshitting, if my voice is annoying, if my channel is annoying, if this video is too long, etc., etc., why my music is trash. Yeah, just whatever, dude. Yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and have a nice day.